Good evening, it's October the 31st, it's the last day of the month, and what have you got this month, wldnas? Well, October the 31st is Halloween, but all I can say is, you ain't gonna get no overtly Americanized, commercialized pagan festival tomfoolery here, because no, I don't believe in Halloween, and I don't believe us Brits should be celebrating it because it's a purely American thing, so forget that. I'm not going to be doing any Halloween nonsense. So now this particular haul is a budget busting haul. Yes, as in last month I had the bot stop where I tried to save money and didn't buy any plastic, but I did manage to save some money, but I also managed to spend some money. I bought a load of comics, some decals and these things. So yeah, but I did manage to save some money. However, this month, when you see what I bought this month, you will see that I basically spent the money I saved. And I'm going to be giving a few YouTubers some shout outs, hopefully some regular viewers. First of all is Mr. Vigadef. I know you like to run my my talky videos in the background while you're playing your video games, so sit up and pay attention, won't you? He suggested to me in one of my bot stop live streams that I did last month that he suggested or asked, will I be doubling down when I did my October haul? Well, no, but yes, like I said, I have spent more money than I would have normally. Like I said, this is a budget busting haul that I've got. I've spent over my usual budget of 500 quid, and I've got quite a few items to show you here. And so as we go forward, I will elaborate on exactly what that meant. But also, this video is going to be quite long because there's quite a number of items to get through. Also, there's a couple of waffly bits that I want to go on, like I want to have a rant about a certain online retailer that's been giving me a bit of jip this month, and I've been having trouble getting a figure off Amazon as well. So yeah, let's get started. Obviously the first of the month, because obviously being the bot stop last month, I decided I'm gonna break my fast by going to the Coventry Comic Con. Now, I had 200 quid, I took 200 quid out. The intention being, going to the Coventry Comic Con, I would have 200 quid, which would give me more than enough money to buy a big impressive bot, like I say, a big masterpiece figure, or some large third party figure. But as it happens, when I went there and looked around all the stalls, I mean, don't forget, it was Coventry's first comic convention, and it was pretty good. It was really big. There was lots of people there. They had lots of quite a few notable guests. There was the hall was big. It was full of exhibits and dealers selling stuff. But unfortunately, there wasn't much in the way of Transformers. There was a few G1 figures scattered about and some those G1 reissue platinum sets. But apart from that, I didn't really see anything worth buying. So came out of there with a pocket full of money and decided, I know, let's go up the road to let's do a little mini sort of Coventry toy hunt. So I went up the road to Smith's Toy Superstore, which was literally 2 miles away from the place where the Comic Con was at the Sports Connection at Brighton. And yep, so I went in there and had a look and found a couple of figures, and the first guy that I got was TLK One Step Scorn, and this guy broke the fast. This was the guy that broke the fast. I like my Scorn. I'd seen pictures of this guy coming out. I really wanted one, and when I went in there, there was some parents and a kid next to the Transformers aisle. They were and ahhing, oh, what Transformer will we get to your kid? Which one? And the kid wanted one, and the parents wanted another one, and blah blah blah. They were just hogging the aisle, and I could see Scorn was there in amongst the one-steppers, and I really wanted to get him. It took a while for me to get in there, but I managed to get in there and gets to One Step Scorn, who is pull that down, flip that round. To call this a one-step changer is a bit of a joke, because it's actually got considerably more than 1 steps. There we go. Anyway, there he is. So yeah, it's not exactly a one-step changer, even though it is, well, it's a turbo changer. But anyway, so I got him. Very pleased to get him. And then I also picked up RID Theridor. Now, I really want to get hold of Bisque. But Bisque, for some bizarre reason, he is like hen's teeth, even in America. I think you can get in America, but it never came out over here. It was that wave just before the Combiner Force figures came out, those sort of Minicon Weaponizer wave. We only got some reissues of a few figures in that wave, but we didn't get Ratchet and Bisque. But I wanted a version of the mould, and he was there, and so yeah, I got him. He's a kind of interesting character in RID Season 2.5, where he's that team of Decepticons that are going around trying to round up the Minicons for Starscream. But he's kind of interesting, but I really wanted Bisque. Still, not bad, not bad. It's a decent enough mould. It's interesting. Blue Lobster guy. Anyway, so I got him, and then I drove up the bypass, went to Toys R Us, and while I was in there, got me a little TLK Legion Megs. So I've got was it 4 last night Megatrons now, 4 different versions of the mod. I got the Legion, got the One Step, got the Voyager, and the Leader. There are a couple of others that have come out that they don't look quite good enough for me to warrant getting them, but this guy's really neat and cool, so I'm glad I got him. And for a Legion figure, he's quite articulated. I mean, he's got knees, which you never ever see that on Legion figures, but anyway, got him. And then they also had RID Bludgeon. Could have got, was it Blast Wave, the Autobot repaint. He looks kind of cool, but I was holding out for Bludgeon. The orange is a bit pale. Would have preferred a darker orange on him. He's got the skull face. It's a rework of the Megatronus mold. It's all right. It's pretty cool. So glad I got him. So that was on the first. Now, moving on to the next bit. Obviously, I usually do that usual thing where I order a bunch of figures online at the beginning of the month, so I did that as well. But the next, I ordered some stuff on the first, but then on the third, I did something else. Now this is where I'm going to have a little bit of a rant, actually. Now, in the past, I've bought figures from a online retailer in Hong Kong called Chimung. Now, I've had 2 dealings with them before, and I've had absolutely no problems with them whatsoever. Bought some good stuff from them. The shipping prices were a little expensive, but their shipping was really quick. You know, the stuff got shipped to me within, say 4 to 6 days. Never had any problems. Now, Chimung, over the last, is it 8 to 12 months, have been rebranding themselves and moving over onto a new website called Robo Toy Base. Now, I'd been looking at their new Robo Toy Base, and it's all right. It's nicely laid out, and you know they've got a good amount of figures on there. But there was one thing on their site which I didn't particularly like. Now, on Chimung, it was kind of an old school looking website. In that, you know, you had like the stuff around the top and then a big list of bots that they were selling. But the one thing that Chimung did was that they gave you the shipping prices up front. When you was browsing their site and looking at a figure to buy, it would tell you what the shipping prices was to your country up front. It just show you before you added the item to your shopping cart, to your cart. So I like that. I like to know what the shipping prices are going to be up front when I buy something, or if it's got shipping prices included in the price, even better. But anyway, so looking at Robo Toy Base, the layout of the website is different. Don't like it quite as much as the old one, but hey ho, it's a thing. But they don't tell you the shipping prices up front. They only give you the shipping prices once you've added an item to your cart, and then you're going through the process of purchasing it, and then you do the usual thing. You confirm your address details, and then blah blah blah. How are you going to pay? And then they say then it gives you, before you do the final checkout, it then gives you the shipping options. Now, I had for a while I'd been ignoring Robo Toy Base. I hadn't really looked at it, but for whatever reason, on October the 3rd, I had a look at Robo Toy Base. I went on there and I saw a figure that I really wanted, that according to their website was in stock, and it was Fans Project's LER-05 Chimera. Now, I have tried to get this figure before from Kapow, but I had a bit of a mix-up in my order. Kapow sent me Ikara instead, and turns out that they were the last 2 figures that they had in stock. They sent my Chimera to somebody else. I sent the Ikara back. The other guy decided he wanted to keep Chimera, and I had to do a deal to get me Masterpiece Soundwave out of it. So, needless to say, I didn't get my Chimera then. Since then, Chimera, the supply of it has virtually dried up, because it has been, well, it certainly appears like Fans Project have finished. They've died a death. Stops trading, blah blah blah. They've gone to the wall. But so there were only a limited supply of Chimeras out there, and a highly desirable figure, and they were snapped up, and there was hardly any left. Now, there are a few people selling it on eBay, but a ridiculously high price. Scalper's price is like £100+, and I am not paying £100 for a figure which is not much. Well, it's just a large deluxe, really. I'm not paying £100 for a figure that's not much bigger than a deluxe. So, when I was looking on Robo Toy Base, I noticed that they had Chimera in stock. This is the important thing. They said they had it in stock, and they were listing it at about 70 odd quid. And I thought, actually, yeah, that's all right. I really want that figure. So I started going through the process of, I've added it to my cart. And then when I was in the process of adding it to my cart, it suggested some other figures I might want to look at. And another figure I saw that they had in stock was Bold Form's BF-01 Gladius the Dark Emperor. That's new Megatron gun former that Bold Forms is doing. And I thought, ooh, I've been waiting for that to come out for like 2 years. So I saw they had it in stock, so I added that to my basket as well. Now, obviously, going through the checkout, eventually got to the page where it had the shipping prices, and it gave me 4 different shipping options, the cheapest of which was about 32 quid, and then it went for like 32 quid, 44 quid, 56 quid, and I think the most expensive one was about 60 quid. And I thought, you've got to be joking, mate. Anyway, I went for the cheapest option, and it was called E-Express, which I assumed was some kind of airmail. And judging by the fact that when I've had dealings with Chimungmung, so this is basically the same company we're talking about. This is just a rebranded Chimungmung. So Robo Toy Base is Chimungmung. Anyway, so I placed the order. It was nigh on 200 quid for these bits, £194, and I placed it, paid for it, and didn't think no more of it. So more on that later. So moving on, yeah, so I know I've been getting my comics from this little cart uptown called Spartown Comics. Well, anyway, the cart they was running in the centre has stopped running, and now they've moved into doing these sort of comic evenings and afternoons in a local pub uptown called the Royal Pug. So I've been buying my comics through them. I've got subscriptions with them for the various Transformers comics, and because their thing has changed, I can't get to see them, because now they were doing these what they call preview evenings on the Thursday evening. I could go to those, and then they ran for a first couple of weeks. They were doing a thing where they was doing the Friday afternoon, that they would be in the Royal Pug, and that's good because I finish work half day on Fridays. I could go uptown, see them, get my comics, and come out. But now they've switched to Thursday afternoons instead of Friday afternoons, and of course Thursday afternoon I'm at work, so I can't go uptown to get my comics. Now, I've been dealing with Lisa Marie, which is the woman who I've been seeing and getting my comics from Spartown Comics, and she's got my email addresses. She knows where I live now, so I'll give her my my postal address, and she says she can drop the comics off to me and they will email me some invoices when they've got some comics for me. Now, I was getting a bit behind because I hadn't been up there lately. I was getting behind in certain comic runs, so I decided to buy a couple off eBay, and I bought one off eBay, which is First Strike number 4. Now, at this point I hadn't got First Strikes 1 to 3. Now, I had an email from Lisa Marie to say that she'd got First Strikes 1 to 3 and number 5. And she suggested that I get number 4 off eBay, so I went ahead and got number 4 off eBay. And then that was that for a time, because we'll get back to that in a moment. You know, there's going to be a lot of this going on in this video where, you know, certain things are going to happen early on and then they're going to come back to it later. So the next thing to arrive, that comic arrived on the 7th, by the way. The next thing to arrive. Now, I said I was going to be doing some shout outs to certain YouTubers. Now, Mr. Dave Shotton, Junkie Dave, if you're watching, doubt it, but if you are, I know you've been after that that Dark of the Moon Deluxe class Mech Tech Leadfoot, which only got a limited Japanese release. Now, you've been after one. Now, it was only got a limited release in Japan. Takara didn't make many of them, and as a result this figure is now highly sought after by collectors, and it goes for a ridiculous amount of money on the aftermarket. I mean, we're talking 70, 80, 100, 120 quid. I've seen it going for absolutely ridiculous prices. It's virtually impossible to get hold of, for a realistic price. But then I noticed that you know, KO Company to the rescue, and sometimes KO companies do this. They see a gap in the market, or they see an opportunity to make a figure which is hard to get, and then they do a knockoff of it, and then they offer it to collectors at a reasonable price. As is the case with this guy. Now, this is Toy House Factory 02 Thfplumb. I don't know why they named it that, or the Plum. Yeah, so this is a knockoff of the Dark of the Moon Voyager Leadfoot, and you can pick them up quite readily on eBay for about 20 odd quid. And to be honest, it's got more paint apps on it than the Takara one, because the Takara one hasn't got all the sponsor decals on it, like the Target logo and, you know, all the other logos on it. Yeah, they've done it. It's a knockoff, and there are a few sort of QC issues with it, but they're only minor in nature. And I paid about 20 odd quid for this. So there is a way, sometimes this happens, there is a way to get that rare exclusive Japanese figure that otherwise would be out of reach and way too expensive. There is a way, another way, to get hold of the plastic, get hold of a version of the figure. And this is it. So Dave Shotton, if you're watching, there is another way to get what you want. Whether you want to go down the route of buying a knockoff, that's the other question. I mean, good luck trying to get hold of an original one, but there is an option. So yeah, that arrived on the 11th, and I think I bought him on October 1st. So he was one of the bots I bought at the beginning of the month. And then the next day, another comic arrived. I decided I wanted to, get another comic because I was getting behind on my subscriptions. So I've got this off eBay, Optimus Prime number 11. Now, in Optimus Prime number 10, in the end of it, they said, that from Optimus Prime number 10, the story was going to go to First Strike, and then it said Optimus Prime would return with the Primeless. Now, I got that confused. I thought Optimus Prime, I thought this comic was changing its name again, because this used to be RID, and then it became Transformers, and then it became All Hail Optimus. It became All Hail Optimus. Anyway, and then it became Optimus Prime. So I was a bit confused as to whether this comic was actually changing its name, but as it happened, it wasn't. When you open this up, it says it's the subtitle for the particular storyline as it goes forward from First Strike, that it's going to be called, the storyline in this is going to be Primus. So basically the storyline now switches to what's happening with the the Autobots and Decepticons on Earth while all this crap is kicking off on Cybertron during First Strike. So that's basically what's happening with this at the moment. And I'm really liking Aerolon. I'm hoping that somebody's going to bring out a toy of Aerolon at some point, because I'm really liking her as a character. But anyway, I got that. Now, then the next things that arrived was on the 18th, and again at the beginning of the month I placed an order with my mate Mr. Netclow on eBay, and from him I got hold of Bad Cube OTS-01 Engineer Huff. Now this is the Huff 2.0, because originally Bad Cube was a company called Cubex, and their first figure they came out with was OTS-01 Huff. That figure is a bit of a disaster. It's riddled with QC issues. It's floppy, paint flakes off it. It's got warped panels. The colours are a bit off. It's not the best toy in the world, and it was a bit of a crap thing, and it forced Bad Cube to rebrand themselves as Bad Cube and move away from the Cubex line, because it had a lot of shit with them. And I was kind of hoping that this skeleton in their cupboard, that Bad Cube would go back and rework their Huffer mold, their Cubex Huff mold, and as it happens, they have. And this is the new one, and this is absolutely solid. It's lovely and heavy because there's a fair bit of die cast on it. Nice, simple transformation. My only gripe is, colour-wise, they've gone for a lighter orange, which actually almost comes out yellow in this lighting and camera, but it's a slightly lighter shade of orange. I wish the orange had been slightly darker. And also the truck mode, it's kind of like a Mack truck, like a cab over Mack truck, rather than the G1 style truck cab that the original Cubex Huffer's got. So that's the one thing that the Cubex Huffer's got over this, is in alt mode it looks more G1 accurate than this thing. But apart from that, this is still a great toy and a fantastic figure, and obviously I collect the Huffer mold anyway, so I'm now got all the Huffers again. So yeah, picked him up, well happy. And then I also got from my mate Mr. Netclow, I got the last two DX9 Warring Pocket Dinobots. I got numbered, was it X21 Thorner and X22 Rager. Now these are great little figures, they're absolutely fantastic. Now, had a bit of bother with this guy. Basically I broke him when I was transforming him for the first time. I pulled the right hand side of his chest clean off. Now how I did that was, when you're transforming it, the back end of the Dino mode is like a solid lump, and it's not immediately obvious how it hinges apart. You can see lots of hinges in it, but you can't see how to prise it apart. Now what I was doing was I was trying to open the wings and force it open, and one side of his chest just sheared off, because you can see there's a transparent piece in the middle, and if you look on the side you can see there's some like little screws where it's got little screw posts that screw into the bit in the middle, and I'd by levering the wing out, I'd overly exerted it and caused it to shear off. So yeah, I managed to fix it, managed to glue it back together, so it's fine again now. It's got these little hinges on the legs are a little floppy, but apart from that, great figure, awesome little transformation, and I've completed the set of these now. So I've got him, and I got the Rager, the Grimlock as well. Fantastic little figures. The way they've reworked the transformations on these is really neat and fun. They do lack a few intermediate articulation joints, but for the most part they're brilliant little figures. Great to transform. Could probably do with some decals, so I'm hoping that Repro Labels will bring some decal sets out for these later along the line, because they're a little bit plain at the moment. But yeah, brilliant little figures. Glad I got them. So they arrived on the 18th. Now we're getting a bit out of get onto something else now. Going back a little bit, on Wednesday the 11th of October, I decided well, I'd got to this point in the in my sort of month of buying stuff that I spent so much money, and I had, you know, probably about 70-80 quid left in my budget, and I decided, right, I just want to buy one more sort of £50-ish bot to sort of bring it up to close to my total budget. So I was looking around for things, and there's a number of last night figures that haven't come out yet over here that I'm looking to get hold of, and one of them is Leader Dragonstorm. Now, I happen to be looking on Amazon. Now, I don't know why I was looking on Amazon, and Amazon's in the UK anyway. I don't know what it's like in the States, but in the UK, Amazon in the UK is well, when you're trying to buy Transformers off Amazon, it's a bit of a minefield. There's lots of people selling Transformers. The majority of people are selling them, you know, for ridiculously outrageous prices. You know, there's a lot of mega expensive things out there. You look at it and you think, like, 50 quid for a Deluxe, are you kidding me? You know, it's stuff like that. And some people are asking hundreds of pounds for, you know, like a basic Deluxe figure, and it's like, what the hell are they on? Anyway, but you do eventually find gems. You know, you'll find, you know, figures on there at reasonable and sometimes cheap prices, as was happened when I got my Leader Megatron, which again we all know retails for about 65 quid, and I managed to get one for about 45 quid getting it off Amazon. So I was kind of hoping that I could do a similar trick with Dragonstorm. So I was looking on there, and, you know, you can see the people asking, you know, like 65, 75, 85 quid for anything. No, I don't want to pay that. And then eventually I found someone who was offering it for with the postage for just under 55 quid. And I thought, well, that's near enough. So I placed an order, did the one-click purchase thing, and I didn't get a response straight away, because usually when you buy something off Amazon, you usually get an email notification to say, oh, you've bought this item, it's going to be, you know, shipped out to your address, blah blah blah. Didn't get that, so I thought, well, that's weird. I haven't received my my purchase notification from Amazon. Anyway, didn't think nothing of it. I was at work at the time. Went out, did a job. When I came back, there was an email from Amazon. I thought, okay, here we go. Right, I've got confirmation for that order. I'm sorry to say your order has been cancelled. What? So I'd received a notification from Amazon that the seller, which was from what I can understand, it was a third-party seller in America, had cancelled my order. They'd cancelled it. I hadn't been charged any money, because the way Amazon works is they don't actually take the money out of your account until, you know, the item's been dispatched. But so I was a bit upset about this, you know, because I thought I'd found Leader Dragonstorm at a really, really good price, you know, at a decent price, and I was all up for getting it, and I got shot down because some seller in America isn't prepared to ship to the UK. Why are you then selling it on Amazon worldwide? That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, a couple of days later, on Sunday the 15th, I went on Amazon again, and lo and behold, Dragonstorm had been relisted with a similar price. I presume by the same seller. I don't know, it might have been a different seller, but it was up again. So I said, okay, I'm going to try again. So I purchased it, and again I had a bit of a delay getting the notification to come through, but eventually I got a notification through saying, yep, your order has been successfully accepted, and the item will be shipped out within so many weeks. And they gave me a delivery date of the 31st of October and the 1st of November, so the end of the month. But anyway, leave that story there, and let's move on to the next one. So So the next thing that happened was Thursday the 19th of October. I went uptown to a Spartown Comics preview evening. Now, because I hadn't seen Lisa Marie for a while, I knew she had a number of comics, you know, in stock for me, and she'd emailed me a payment receipt for £12 the week before, but it hadn't listed on it what comics I would be getting for my £12, so I didn't pay it. And I kept getting reminders saying, "Oh, you haven't paid this bill for £12, blah blah blah." So I didn't pay it, and I waited until I went to see her, and then I explained everything to her, and she was totally understanding where I was coming from. And from now on, instead of sending credit card receipts to me, she's gonna send me PayPal, because I can pay via PayPal for these comics. So she's gonna send me PayPal receipts instead. But needless to say, went in to see her, and she had a big bunch of comics for me. No less than 7. So we've got First Strike number 1, First Strike number 2, First Strike number 3, First Strike number 5, First Strike Optimus Prime one shot, Rom vs Transformers Shining Armour number 4, and Lost Light number 10. Now, obviously that's a build-up of comics, because I hadn't seen her for a few weeks. That's a build-up of comics that she'd gotten in for me. And the next time I see her, probably gonna have to, she's gonna have to. I mean, well, the way I understand it, we're going to have to go to a remote sort of operation from now on, whereby I've got subscriptions open with her. She's going to email me a invoice for a number of comics. I'm going to pay it, and then she says she knows where I live, so she'll drop them off for me, and that's how it's going to work. Even though I haven't actually done that yet, that's how I think that's how things are going to proceed. Probably later this week, I might get an email and we'll move forward. Anyway, speaking of the comics, I am really enjoying First Strike. First Strike is absolutely brilliant. It's one of the best IDW comics I've read for a while. The other Transformers comics are sort of bimbling along, not really doing anything special. But First Strike, it's full of action. You've got all these other characters mixed in with it. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm really glad that I've bought into it. So I'm up to issue 5. I think issue 6, which is the final issue of the main comic, has come out this week or next week. It's due out soon. Then they're doing these. They're doing the one shots again, like they did with Revolution. Now the one shots are working slightly differently this time round. They're in pairs. So you've got Optimus Prime and then Transformers, which is one pair. And this is basically a continuation of the Revolutionaries story, because it's got all the Revolutionaries guys in it. Like Cup and Action Man and Mayday and all those others. So that's kind of picks up where Revolutionaries left off. And then you've got the other ones. They've got Rom and Micronauts. So you've got One Shot Rom, One Shot Micronauts that are linked together. And then you've got G.I. Joe and Mask, which are 2 separate one-shots that are also linked together. Now, in the actual main story, you've got Transformers, you've got Mask, you've got G.I. Joe characters in the main story, but you haven't got Rom and you haven't got Micronauts. They're not in the main story. Whereas in Revolution, Rom was a major part of he was one of the main protagonists in Revolution, and then later on the Micronauts came into it and they played their part. But this time round, I don't know so much. I don't know whether I'm going to get the one shots. I'll get the Transformers related ones. I might get the G.I. Joe and Mask one, because Mask and G.I. Joe characters are actually in the main story, so it might flesh out their roles somewhat, but I don't know about the rest of it. We'll have to see how it goes, but I am really enjoying First Strike. It's a great comic run. And then we got Rom versus Transformers Shining Armour. There's only one more issue of this to go, so I'll finish it off. And then I think in December you've got that Transformers versus Visionaries starting up, which I'm going to have a look at. So that'll probably take over where this leaves off. And then Lost Light. Now Lost Light has been, like I said, it's one of those comics. He's just been bimbling along with the storyline. Nothing special, amazing happened. So they've changed pace, and now this is what's the crew of the Lost Light, the ship that, because you've got Getaway. He basically did a mutiny on Rodimus and the other Lost Light crew members who he abandoned on the Necro world, and then did a phone call to the DJD and say, "Come and get them." So now we've got what's called the Mutineers trilogy, and it's a 3-part story where we get to see what, you know, the other half of the Lost Light crew is doing on the Lost Light, carrying on the search for the Knights of Cybertron. So this is quite interesting, something different. Nice to see something different happening with this comic, but there we go. So there's that. And that little lot of comics, 7 in total, cost me 21 quid. But like I said, moving forward, things is going to be changing for the way I get my comics now. I'm still going to be getting from Spartown Comics, but the arrangement I have with Lisa Marie is going to be slightly different. I'm not going to be able to go uptown and collect them in person, and I'm going to have to pay for them online, and then she's going to drop them off. At least that's the way I understand it. But until that system's in place, I don't know as and when I'm going to get my next comic. Anyway, moving along. Next day, 20th, I had some KTRTs arrive. Done some reviews on them. So I got Hello Carbot's Cran and little mini Geomecha Caiman. You've seen my reviews on these. This guy's pretty basic, pretty simple. There's not a lot to him. His character's quite good in the show. He's got some odd, you know, articulation things going on, like his arm is on a permanent curl and he can't straighten it. He's got these, proportions wise, he's got these humongous legs and quite a small body, but he's a decent enough figure. He's okay. And oh dear, Mini Caiman. I bought this because I wanted to do a comparison with the Big Caiman. The Big Caiman is an okay figure, but the robot mode is severely restricted in leg articulation. It's like it hasn't got working knees on it. Well, this guy, as you probably saw in my review, he has got, you know, leg articulation. He's got knees, he's got bicep swivels, he's got ankle tilts, you know, but his hips don't go backwards and forwards. So I'm really upset. You know, that's another figure that's been ruined by lack of articulation. That they could quite easily have put working hips on this, and also they engineered out the crocodile mode, and I reckon with a few extra joints they could quite easily have got a crocodile out of this. But yeah, big disappointment. So they arrived on the 20th. Now, getting back to that little Dragonstorm story. Anyway, so I managed to order another Dragonstorm, and I had this message to say it's been dispatched and it will arrive, you know, the end of the month. So hence my surprise on October the 24th when he arrived. Wow, this thing is amazing. I love this thing. Now, the thing about Dragonstorm that's really unusual, he is quite a rarity in that he is 2 robots that form together to form one alt mode. Now, normally combiners are, you usually get multiple, you know, robots who have alt modes of their own, which then form together to form a bigger robot. But this guy, his alt mode is the combiner, and this is a very unusual thing because combiners don't usually work this way. They usually work the other way round. You usually have multiple vehicles that form together to form a giant robot, or copolymer combiners as the Koreans call it. But this is doing things back to front. Now, I've been trying to figure out, has this been done before? And yes, it has. There was some Micromaster combiners back in the day, G1 Micromaster combiners, who used to have two Micromasters that combined together to form a large vehicle, and then they would split off and then form individual robots. And then there's Skids and Mudflap from Revenge of the Fallen at the beginning of the film, when they transformed into the that little crappy old ice cream truck. So that they did a toy of it, you know, two robots that form together to form one alt mode. But it's not a common thing. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, and this is just another one of those things. So you get Dragonstorm, and he's a big dragon, and I like my dragon formers, and this he's huge. He's really big, but he's a leader class, so he's supposed to be pretty big. Now, when you split this guy up into his individual robots, you get two Voyager figures. You get Dragonicus and Stormrain. Now, Dragonicus, he's basically got all the dragon kibble. He's got both the wings. He's got all four legs, two of the dragon heads, and he forms a really chunky sort of kibble-heavy Voyager bot. Whereas the other guy, Stormrain, he is the middle head, the spine, the back side of the dragon, and the tail. So you take him out, and he's a big long thin thing. And when you transform him, got some ingenious engineering on him, but he is quite by far possibly the most anemic transformer I have ever seen in my life. There's nothing to him. He's virtually completely hollow, and yet you get a fully functioning Voyager figure out of it. I love the engineering on this thing. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at the moulded detail on that. Look at it. Look at all this, you know, this sort of veiny hatch pattern on the back there. Absolutely fantastic. Love this thing. And I like it so much, it's going to be on my top 10 bots of the year. So yeah, it's on the 10 list. Absolutely love it. Fantastic. Glad I got it. And the fact that I had so much grief trying to get one off Amazon, but in the end I got this guy for less than 55 quid, so I'm quite happy with my purchase, and he turned out to be an absolutely amazing toy. So if you get the chance to get hold of one of these at a decent price, go for it. He's absolutely fantastic. So that was that. Now we go back to the Robo Toy Base thing, because a couple of days ago, I think it was on, I can't remember what day it was. Anyway, like I said, I placed the order on October the 3rd, nearly 200 quid. And then I waited. I was getting a bit worried. I thought, where is it? Why hasn't it turned up? You know, it was like 1 week gone, 2 weeks gone, 3 weeks gone. And stuff I'd ordered from Thfplumb usually arrived within, sort of, like I said, 4 to 6 days. So why was this thing taking so long? So then, over the weekend just gone, I went onto Robo Toy Base and had a look at, you know, at my order status, and I was a bit dismayed when I saw that the status on my order was pending. What do they mean, status pending? Surely it should be completed because you've shipped it. Now, I never received any shipping confirmation from Robo Toy Base, and just today I went back and checked on Chimera, and they said that Chimera was still in stock. The website says that they still had Chimera in stock. Well, anyway, I was very concerned that my order hadn't turned up. So I went onto their site, and I sent them a message basically saying, here's my order number, here's my name, I ordered these bits on blah 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 on the 3rd of October, been waiting like 3-4 weeks, they haven't turned up, where's my stuff? And I got a very curt email reply back yesterday basically saying, sorry for the delay in your order, The reason being is because we were out of stock of the Fans Project Chimera. We're waiting for a restock, which we're probably not going to get till the end of November. So, you know, you're going to have to wait until then. But when we get the stock, we will, you know, ship it out to you ASAP. They didn't have it in stock. And yet their website said quite clearly that they had Chimera in stock. I'm not happy, as you can probably imagine. So it looks now like I'm going to have to wait till first, second week in December before I get my order from Robo Toy Base. And I ordered it at the beginning of November, so it's going to take 2 months to get my stuff from Robo Toy Base. I'm really annoyed at this because it's basically the same site as Chumungmung. And I've bought stuff from Chumungmung before and not had any issues at all. And yet the first thing I get from Robo Toy Base, I have issues with it. I have problems, delays, unnecessary delays. And the thing that really gets me is that I look on their website today and I see that they've got another figure on there that I desperately want. It's that Mastermind Creations reformatted Calidus Shadow Ghost. You know, the Thfplumb that's just gone exclusive in the shattered glass black and purple. They've got it in stock for about just under 100 quid, for about 94 quid. But if I was to go on there now and buy it, no doubt I'd have to pay like £20–30 postage to get it shipped to the UK. There's no guarantee they'd have it in stock. It might say they've had it in stock, but they might not have it in stock. And it's going to cost me over 120 quid, and I don't want to pay 120 quid for a figure that's not much bigger than a Voyager. Even though I really do want that figure, and I will probably never ever own one. But there you go. I'm upset with Robo Toy Base, as you can tell. So, let's move on to better things. Now, more shout outs to YouTubers, and I'm calling out Graham the Collector 75. Yeah, so if you're watching, Graham, you did that review on the last night's Skillitron, because you managed to pick it up from, you went to your local Toys R Us and you noticed that they had these what are they called, Mission to Cybertron exclusives that Toys R Us are doing, and he saw Skillitron and Infernocus and he picked them up. Now he paid the full retail price for them, which for Skillitron was about, I think, $22.99, and Infernocus was like, was it $36.99? Anyway, he had got hold of those, and I wanted to get these toys myself, but because I'd basically blown, by this point I'd blown my monthly budget, I couldn't afford spending any more money. So I thought, okay, I'm going to wait until November the 1st before I seek these things out. Then, like a day or so later, another YouTube video went up, this time from Rich Mr. Zort Rider, where he did that unboxing video where he got those mask toys out that he bought off eBay. And he mentioned that Graham the Collector 75 had bought these figures from Toys R Us. And then he pointed out that, yeah, but if you go on Toys R Us online, you can pick these figures up for 25% discount. So they were doing Skillitron for like just over 16 quid, and they were doing Infernocus for just over 28. And of course, Graham the Collector 75, when he finally did his Infernocus video where he did a look at it, he basically mentioned the fact that not 2 days after he bought those figures that Toys R Us slashed the price on them online, and it's so he was a bit upset about that. But Graham, mate, if I'd have been in there, if I'd have been in that Toys R Us that you went into and I'd have seen them at that price, I'd have bought them off the shelf at full retail. I wouldn't have done, I would have bought them, no bones about it. Whether or not, a couple of days later I found I could have got them online a little bit cheaper. Anyway, so Rich Zort Rider had put this video out, and when I saw him say that, and also he mentioned when he was saying about, Toys R Us are doing these figures at this discounted price, and also if you spend over £30 online with Toys R Us you get free postage. Now as soon as I heard that, two thoughts shot through my head. One, I need to get on to Toys R Us online and buy these figures. But I really want to wait until next month, November the 1st, because I've spent all my money for this month. But then I thought, Rich has let the cat out of the bag. He's basically told everybody where they can get these figures, and I bet you any money in the next couple of days they're going to sell out. So I just thought, sod it. Pachung. I pulled the trigger on them. Yeah, they arrived this morning. Yeah, so I got these Toys R Us online. Very, very cheap. About just over 16 quid, just over 28 quid. Got the pair of them for under 50 quid. Free postage, and you can pay by PayPal. So, quid's in. Gorgeous. It meant I was spending over the odds. But there you go. I mean, I'd already spent, because like I said, when I went at the beginning of the month, or the first of the month, when I went, no, because I didn't get anything at the Coventry Comic Con. Afterwards, I went and bought them other figures at Toys R Us and Smith's, but also on my way back round, I went to IKEA and bought two Detolfs, and then a couple of days later, I had the leftovers that morning. I had 40 quid left over, and I added another tenner to it, and I went up and got the third one. So I bought these this month. You know, 150 quid's worth of glass and metal. So even though I'm not counting that towards my total that I spent this month, because they're not Transformers, but yeah, so I have spent over the odds this month, and these guys, you know, they put me over. But I don't mind, because getting these at the price I paid for them was well worth it, buying them when I did. I mean, because if I didn't buy them now, because I bet you when I check tomorrow, I will find that these guys will be all sold out, probably. But there you go. I got them. I got them at a really good price, and I'm really happy. And that then is the end of this haul. 55 minutes. Well, yeah, I've had a bit of waffle this time round, speaking about stuff about the whole Robo toy-based malarkey, and then problem with getting a Dragonstorm out of Amazon. But yeah, it's been a weird month. Got some pretty good stuff. Yeah, things is moving on. I've already got a bunch of stuff that I'm ready to pounce on eBay tomorrow morning. But actually, something I've been meaning to do for the last week and a bit is do a chewing the fat video. I will probably do one next week. Basically, and it's all to do with it being getting towards the end of the year. I'm thinking about the run up to to the end of the year. The main reason why I'm thinking about end game, as I call it, is because I'm getting close to bot 800 in my collection. So I've only got a couple of dozen bots left to go, and I'm there. So I'm looking at what bot buying opportunities I've got left towards the end of the year, and I might be doing a few extra dates, but I will probably mention that in more detail in this chewing the fat video, if and as and when I do it. But that's been me, TFR Wilderness. This is my end of month bot haul. Yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. I got some good stuff this month, and moving on to the next one. So I will see you next month. Hope to see you then. Goodbye.